everyone. We are going to call tonight's meeting to order. This is a special meeting of the board, and we are going to begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'm going to go ahead and lead us in that. If anyone would like to unmute and join me, and we'll stand and begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. And then we'll move on to our roll call.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Here.
Trustee Jackson Miller.
Here.
Trustee Friedman.
Present.
Trustee Izant Gonzalez.
Here.
Trustee Donnelly.
Present.
Thank you.
Great. Next is adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
I'll make the motion. Carolyn.
Second.
Okay, Carolyn first, Phil second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make the motion.
I think we might have a delay, but we have a motion and a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Linda, I think we got it all. Next is public communications. For anyone following along who doesn't have the agenda, at this point, if you want to communicate with us pertaining to anything that is not on the agenda, you can email publiccomment@suesd.org quickly. You may text phone number 831-200-3546. And there's also a link on our agenda to video conference in to make a comment for anything anything not on the agenda.
For some reason, I'm delayed.
Is Trustee Donnelly saying he's on a delay?
Yes, I believe so.
Trustee Donnelly, can you hear me right now?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Are we okay to go forward, or do we need to take a recess?
I think we're okay to go forward. And Trustee Donnelly,
Yeah, go for it.
if there's anything that you want to try to get through, you can let me know by another means. Text me or something, and I will make sure that your voice gets included into the conversation.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to read a short statement about public communication. Members of the audience are welcome to address the Board of Trustees during public communication regarding items not listed on the agenda. I'm going to skip the portion about filling in a sign-in register. 3 minutes may be allotted to each speaker and a maximum of 20 minutes for each subject matter. The trustees cannot take action on these matters unless such matters are placed on a future agenda according to law. If an item is on the agenda, you will have the opportunity to speak at the time the agenda item is discussed. Please address the board president. These proceedings are video recorded. Board members shall hold the education of students above any partisan principle, group interest, or personal interest. And that being said, do we have any public communication for items not on the agenda?
There's nothing on text, and the only email that I'm aware of is for the item that's on the agenda.
Okay. Let's move forward with our action item then. Consider adopting a resolution authorizing the use of remote teleconferencing provisions.
Thank you, President Jackson Miller. So this decision is an important one, and I know one that this board will not take lightly. The AB 361 provides us the opportunity every 30 days to reevaluate and decide whether the current conditions present, the kind of public threat that would encourage us to go to virtual meetings. So, just a quick reflection, after we came out of, at the time, a year ago or so, everything was virtual. As pretty much as soon as this board could, we decided to go to in-person meetings and have been, since that time. And so obviously right now in the county and the state, the country for that matter, there's a spike with Omicron, the Omicron variant. We were looking at data just earlier today that showed in our county a 14-day increase of over 300%. It's not like this kind of spike. It's almost literally straight up. If we go to look at the Santa Cruz County Public Health website, it's something beyond a spike. And so we, in the effort to make sure that we're not adding to any spread, this consideration is being taken under advisement. I would just say that we have our systems down in place for both kind of meetings, whether it's virtual or in person with some hybrid. And so that's really good to know that if the data changes, we're able to nimbly make that switch. And I think given the practice that we had during the height of the pandemic, we have our practices down pat, and that there is no lack of ability. To me, the ultimate threshold in making the recommendation to the board on this is that there's no lack of ability in our virtual meetings for the public to comment and for the public to participate. It's just in a different forum. And so that gives me the confidence to make this recommendation. Just some nuts and bolts that the board may be considering. It's a 30-day renewal, for lack of a better way to say it. And so, tonight we're doing a special board meeting with a lone agenda item. But if we were to say I'm looking up at my calendar there, if we were to get to the February 16th board meeting, which is within the 30-day window, we could put this resolution on again for consideration for the board as an additional item to the regular board meeting that night, if the board wanted to consider extending another 30 days. If within the 30 days, the board decides that based on data and based on the current conditions, to want to have an in-person meeting, we can do that. This gives us the flexibility to hold either one. Without passing this resolution, we don't have the flexibility to hold virtual meetings. Passing this resolution, we have the flexibility to hold virtual meetings or in-person meetings. And so it is with all of that background and, focusing on data and the common good of I guess I'll end with saying that, like, the approach we're taking in the district, for example, is if it can be done virtually, let's do it virtually. If it can be done effectively virtually, let's do it virtually. Some things can't be done virtually and effectively. I think we've proven that board meetings can, and since they can be, it's just one more way we can contribute to the common good and try to slow the spread of this virus, especially with the current variant. With that, I'll pause and take questions or comments from the board.
Questions or comments from board members?
So can you clarify something? So if we were to pass the resolution, we could still decide to do in person?
Yes, we have the flexibility to do in person or virtual with this, passing this resolution. But like I said, if without the resolution, we don't have the choice.
And Scott, is that something that you and I would be working on if the board passes the resolution, then as we anticipate the next board meeting?
Yes,
You would decide if it's virtual or in person?
yes, and it would just be a matter of taking a look at the data and seeing if there's an improvement. That's the option we have. I mean, generally speaking, you know, if the board passes the resolution tonight, I think it would be wise to just plan for the next few board meetings, the one in January and the 2 in February to be virtual. And then at that February 16th board meeting, plan to have the resolution on again and decide whether to continue at that point. Phil.
So I'm looking at my calendar. I think we'd have to do it on the February 2nd. Be within the 30 days. Otherwise it'd be over 30 days. So 30 days from today is on a Saturday in
You are
February.
correct. You are correct. I was looking a week off. Yeah, so we would need to put it on the board agenda for the 2nd. Thank you, Phil.
Right. But, and I think just here's how I understand it. So we could actually come down to the board meet and meet even when with a virtual meeting. It's just that it's not going to be open to the public because it's not safe.
Right, right. So if the board passes the resolution tonight, I'm sorry if I muddied the waters at all. I feel like I did. I would just say if the board passes this resolution tonight, we plan to have the next board meetings virtually and then put the resolution on again for February 2nd.
Can I clarify what, Phil, maybe you were suggesting? If we were to, for example, explore another option, which is doing kind of a hybrid where we meet, but the public is virtual, would we still need to pass this resolution for such a switch?
No, what I'm saying is that with this passed, you can do that. Without it, you can't.
So to do that, we would still have to pass this.
Yeah,
current
see, so
resolution.
here's an example. I decide that I want to come down to the boardroom during the virtual meeting because I got a crappy connection at home. And so I can come down to the board meeting and be in the board meeting. It's still closed to the public because it's been declared a virtual meeting.
Yeah.
So I'm asking a different question. So I guess
I just want to, oh, sorry. I just
No,
want to recognize that Ted has his hand up, so we can finish this, but Ted, I see you, okay?
So I guess I'm saying something different than what you're saying, Phil. So it seems like there's different options. So there's what you're describing, Phil, obviously, which but what I'm describing is another option of us meeting in person, but not being open to the public, and they would be.
Everybody just kind of disappeared. I went to another part of the room. So as far as the resolution goes, it is a quorum that is virtual, or we have a decision whether we want to be virtual or not if it goes into the boardroom, or this resolution is saying that everybody is virtual, right?
Well, so where an individual board member, you know, is transmitting from, just one way to say it, is not pertinent. So here's the simplest way to say it is, if the board passes this resolution tonight, the next 2 regular board meetings will be like this, like we are tonight. That's basically what you're voting.
But if a board member needed to use Wi-Fi at the district office,
Okay.
and if health conditions allowed that, that's okay. It
Yeah.
just means our meeting is virtual. It's considered a quorum, you know, if we're at least 3 of us are present
Yes.
virtually, right? As opposed to if we kept in person and 3 of us were
Okay.
quarantining, and then we probably couldn't have a quorum.
Yes. That is another good point.
So in other words, we don't have a decision. So basically, we're all virtual. Okay. No, that's just something.
I can't hear Ted well. Can anyone else?
No, perhaps he might be able to use the chat or text Scott. But I think we need to, unless there's a lot of other questions, it definitely feels like we can move forward.
And we need to
Or is his
finish.
hand up? Is his hand up again? I can't tell.
We need to finish with Carolyn's though question.
Oh, sorry.
Carolyn, did you still have questions?
No, so I think Phil was just saying that my question wasn't answered, but I don't have a further question. I was just talking about the hybrid possibility of us meeting in person and the public being invited virtually.
And so, Scott, just to clarify, that would be allowed even if we pass this resolution, correct? If you and I leading up to a meeting felt like, gosh, things have just really radically changed and we could offer a hybrid meeting, that would be permissible.
Yes.
But your preference is for whether it's for staffing needs or clarity or et cetera, your preference maybe is that we assume we're moving on virtually.
100%. Yeah, like I said, maybe I shouldn't have thrown the option out there. I just, I think the important thing to note, like trying to keep it as simple as possible. If the board passes this resolution tonight, let's just plan for the January 19th and February 2nd board meetings to be like tonight, in a virtual format. And then at that February meeting, we will add the same agenda item onto that regular board meeting to determine what we should do for the next 30 days.
Okay.
Can
Ted, I sent you a message in the chat just because we really can't hear you.
Can I just throw one more thing? I mean, I support whatever the board decides. The only thing that gives me pause is just the message that we would be conveying if we are meeting virtually, but the teachers and students are not. And maybe we'll be getting some just some feedback that, well, why are you meeting virtually, but we can't? And I just that's all. Just the message that I would convey and kind of mixed message that it may convey. That's the only thing that gives me pause. But
Well, certainly it's a valuable lens to use, right? To say that we walk where possible in sync with what's happening in our schools. I do think that the analogy, is important to consider. I'm not so sure that the analogy, is an exact one, right? Because, as I kind of tried to allude to in the opening statements, we've built up a system, a lot of help from George and our small but mighty IT team, with typically, barring some connection issues occasionally, a very smooth process for holding virtual meetings. And if, in my opinion, if there was any lack of public participation created by holding a virtual meeting, then again, I think that's something to strongly consider. But I think, to continue this analogy out, I think most stakeholders would agree that doing virtual instruction, has proven not to be a successful mode of instruction. Holding virtual board meetings has proven, again, in my opinion, successful and hasn't limited public participation. And in some ways, I would suggest has increased public participation in these kind of meetings. And so with that in mind, I don't think the analogy, is an exact one. And again, kind of trying to have that frame of mind that if something can be done effectively and virtually, every one of those little decisions we make as a community only adds to the overall public health and slowing of the virus. So I think it's a really important point, and I think it's one I'm sure that every single board member has considered, but I don't think, like I said, that it's an exact analogy.
Yeah, and I agree. So as long as we're able to make that point very clearly, so there's no misunderstanding, that would be the only thing that I would want to make sure.
Yeah, Phil.
Quick one. Somebody just said about if we have to quarantine. If we don't have this, then we are going to have to do in person. If 3 of us have to quarantine, then nobody gets paid because we have to approve the warrants with an aye vote. And if we can't do that, then things don't happen. So in a way, you have to kind of protect the operation of the district. And we're kind of a part of that wrench stuff that makes things turn. So just saying.
Thank you. I'll just weigh in my however many cents it is, but I'm very optimistic that this is a really short-term solution. I definitely prefer being able to model what we're doing in our classrooms, and I think we did a really great job of that for a long time. But it is, I'm sure, like many of you, this has come very close to home in terms of cases and exposures, etc. So it's so extremely contagious. It seems like this is a good short-term solution. And again, with the situation of board meetings being one that we don't have a lot of, we don't have the same level of knowledge or control about who comes into a meeting and quality of masks and et cetera, and other health status. This seems like the right thing to do for public health reasons, and I'm very optimistic that it is short term. Any other comments or questions from board members? Okay, questions or comments from the public? I believe we received at least one email. Whichever order, Scott, you want to do as far as emails, texts, or anyone who's zoomed in.
So there's nothing on text. And I saw a second email one. I'm assuming Michelle probably has that up. So Michelle, if you want to take one, I'll take the other one.
Sure. You want me to take the second one?
Either one. Whatever one you don't take, I'll take.
Okay. All right. Let me pull it up. So this message is from Michelle Bell. There's a couple of different ones. I just want to make sure I capture the whole thing. You want me to go ahead and just read the whole email, Scott?
That's fine.
The chain? Okay. Good evening. I'm just looking for clarification in the board considering a shelter. Is the board considering a shelter in place with students learning from home once again? I am unclear what exactly the agenda will be addressing on Wednesday. And then her follow-up. Thank you for the clarification, Amanda, and your quick response. I will say that teachers are exposed to hundreds of students 5 days a week, and it would be nice to have the board be willing to have a few people live rather than online only. It would be nice to see the board be consistent with the same procedures they are requiring from teachers 5 days a week. Will you please read this into the board meeting on Wednesday? Thank you.
And not to nitpick, but I think there's a few people live.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You knew what you meant.
Yes.
So the other message is from Annie Dungan. And she says, I think the board and district have been and continue to work great together for the benefit of the community. Given the option of virtual allows for public input, it has been proven as well as safety being a top priority. Keeping a virtual option is a great decision right now, in my opinion. Thank you. I've always felt heard and represented, even virtually, as a parent, staff member, and member of the community, despite the occasional technical difficulties. That's all we have in the text or email realm. But we have our, I will turn it over to President now.
Oh, it looks like, so we've got members of the public who's zoomed in and our union representatives. So Gordon, you look like you would like to chime in. Welcome.
Sure, thank you. Hey, board and Scott and Jessica and Enrique and George also. No, I've definitely appreciated the discussion tonight. I think, Carolyn, you brought up really good points. Michelle Bell talked about as well. Just, I think it's good when the board is able to set the example for staff and show when things are safe. But Scott, I think you did a great job at the beginning of this meeting describing the situation we're at right now with COVID, the increased spread. I think meeting virtually is the safest decision right now. I don't think that doing a less safe decision in the interest of being in person because teaching is in person is the right decision. I would urge the board to vote for this, to move meetings virtually. I've continued to hold our SEA meetings virtually throughout this entire pandemic because it's not only because it's the safest thing, but like Scott said, it actually increases participation when people don't have to, in my case, drive down from Felton to Capitola on a Wednesday night. And for the other side of this, which is us teaching in person and being exposed, I think the more positive things that the board can do is just look at ways to keep teachers safer, to mitigate spread in schools, to refine our monitoring systems and our response systems, and make sure that we're provided with all the PPE that we need. I mean, those are real actions, more so than meeting in person, is more of a symbolic action, which is a good one when you can. But right now, I think the more responsible decision is to take the safe way and meet in virtually while we're in a time where millions of new cases are being reported every day and we're breaking COVID records, and the spread that's going on in this country at this moment is more than it has been throughout the entire pandemic. So this is the time to move back to virtual meetings when we can do that. So I urge the board to approve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. I see Enrique is here in the meeting. And did you want to say anything?
I actually, hello, everyone. I didn't ask any of the members about this meeting. I apologize for that. I do agree with Scott and Gordon about going virtual for a couple of reasons. Selfishly, I do like to be at home or be on a separate location so I can actually do other things while I'm listening. But I understand about we still have a school to run or a district to run. And I believe virtual is probably the better way to go, me speaking.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else who needed to make any kind of comment?
Not seeing anything on any platform.
Okay. Then do I have a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing use of remote teleconference?
I'll make the motion.
Oh, Ted, we can hear you loud and clear now.
I know. I moved to a phone, cellular. 5G.
Perfect. Jen, I'll second.
Okay, so it's a resolution and we'll take a roll call vote when Linda is ready.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Aye.
Trustee Jackson Miller,
Aye.
Trustee Izan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Trustee Friedman,
Aye.
Trustee Donnelly.
Aye.
Thank you.
Very good. The resolution passes. So we will see you virtually next Wednesday, the 19th. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
was-
Now I'm in there virtually.
That's right. Okay, so we've got Ted with a motion, Phil in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Have a good
you.
weekend.
Hey, Amanda?
Yes.